Music is the Weapon by Major Lazer. It is scrolly, 12 songs, 34 minutes long. And it's the first like proper Major Lazer album release since Peace is the Mission, which came out in 2015.
That was a few years ago.
Yeah, Major Lazer is a really interesting like EDM project. It's kind of like, in a way, started as a virtual band because there were cartoons on Adult Swim. There's like a TV show like aspect to it. But it's Diplo, a couple of other people. Diplo's been the only like main feature in Major Lazer because pretty much none of the original members of Major Lazer created this project. But it's gone through a lot of things. It's become this international super sensation because it's kind of the thing that's happened with virtual bands, more on that later, is that you can shape them in whatever sort of way you want to shape them into multiple different audiences. So you can have songs for not just like a South American audience or a Central American audience, but you can have Colombian. Audience. Yeah, you can have like you can micro-target to like this Colombian, Brazilian,
and like this album like, literally like just goes demographic after demographic after demographic. Because if you look at all these songs, a lot of them are trending. Some in the United States, some in South America, some in Europe. It's just try to do the nitpicky thing and do the thing of, oh, Afro beats are really on fire right now. Let's go and just do Afro beats for part of the songs just to get that demographic. Oh, let's do a thing with randomly with Mumford and Marcus Mumford and do that because the U.S. audience would like that, and boom, do that. So it's like the thing of raising your stocks to get more stocks to get more money and to sell it.
Right. It's like raising capital from your stocks, you can get money to purchase more stocks and inflate your stock. It's like it's
almost like that.
Like, let's also remember Major Lazer's been at this since 2009. They kind of created the genre, the whole like sort of mad decent subgenre of like touring on colleges, different things, having these little shows. It's really kind of an organic thing.
And I did enjoy it, Major Lazer. When they first started their stuff up a while ago, I did enjoy that sound. But the problem with Major Lazer now is that it's
the like essential like EDM starfuck, and it's a weird thing because it's not, most of Major Lazer's stuff is not like super hypey-typey. Of course, you have those moments throughout the entire history, and it's not like bad. I think I love like even up to Peace is the Mission. You had like incredible songs that became like hits forever, like Lean On, Light It Up, all those things. Each of the Major Lazer songs had significant hits, and it stood out by having its very Afrobeats focused flair, but also that American EDM sort of DJ production. And it's, at least I'll give it for its credit, the entire project has had a consistent sort of sound.
Yes.
Even though it's gone through so many different people. This appears like by all sort of mentions, it seems to be like Diplo's like, okay, I've been touring this shit for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Please stop. I'm like done now. And this is gonna be like the final Major Lazer project and like the sort of end set of shows. It'll probably sort of go on in some sort of set forever. But that's why I'm sort of talking about this in this complete way. Because it's like pretty cool and like it's a standout and it's unique in its own way, but it iterated on its own thing too much and didn't really become that new or special, and then ultimately
the problem with this album too is that a lot of these songs were released a long time ago. Like the ending track, Que Calor, came out like over like a year and a half ago, I'd like to say. Because I remember hearing it in summer of 2019. I remember hearing that and like, oh, this will be a big like end of the year hit, something. And it was also on the FIFA 20 soundtrack, and FIFA songs tend to blow up and stuff. And that was something that I definitely heard. And I know they were ahead on me with Marcus Mumford, friend of the show, Marcus Mumford. I remember that came out like the very beginning of this year or late last year, and it blew up a little bit right before, actually no, a little bit this year. It blew up a little bit before quarantine. I remember that.
They definitely took their time to release songs, and it's a typical more format that's happening more in music across all genres, from indie to electronic music to Beck, friend of the show, also did this like, where like Colors. There was like a 2-year where just like singles were sporadically coming out, and
it's
then
almost
you
like
put the thing together.
Tame Impala, same thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
problem is can't do that with a full album. Yeah, it's a nice and short album. It's 34 minutes. It was a nice and like it was all the Major Lazer I enjoyed and wanted, especially because it's been so long. So like that's a good amount of time. But
I've heard half of this already.
And I've heard it a lot.
I've heard,
because these are like generic hits.
Yeah, Que Calor and Lay Your Head on Me, I've heard a shit ton.
I really do.
Just, okay,
I really do love Oh My God with Nicki Minaj.
Nicki Minaj? That's one of my favorite flows I've heard of Nicki Minaj in a while, because she didn't do this stupid annoying thing with her voice that she does occasionally. She went in with her actual, because when she raps and goes in on flow, she's very good.
It's why she's one of the best in the game.
Yeah, and I like Some of her stuff from albums she did like in the early 10s, fantastic. But some of the stuff lately, she keeps doing this annoying little high-pitched thing with her voice or starts messing with it that you can experiment with it, but she kept staying on it too long.
Yeah.
But on this song, oh my God, it sounds very good.
Hung out with 6ix9ine too much. I think this must have been
It
just
does.
like one of those different sort of things. And so yeah, we've gotten like sort of an upside down order with the thing. But
Yeah.
the first couple songs are just sort of like very standard. If you heard Major Lazer before, you're not going to be impressed.
Yeah, like I know Bam Bam, they with French Montana and Beam, French Montana had to change it a little bit because it's something that he did before, and they did it because they didn't want to get like copyright stricken kind of on his own work. So it's really lazy to me in that regard. It's not horrible. It's not bad. It's decent pop music basically, and a decent Afrobeat. It's just something that you're gonna hear at a party and just in the background. You're like, okay, whatever.
Not even at a party. It's like this would be like if I were at a really shitty show and like the one like the island in the sea of blood with Major Lazer, I would definitely swim towards that. But like Major Lazer's lost a lot of their flair. I think you ended that with Pieces the Mission. That was the last album back in 2015 where you had still a lot of that, and it was a major hit because those songs were still being played and are still being played 5 years later.
Yes.
So yeah, it was a cool thing. It was a cool project, but for now, it's sort of time. It's a nice sort of.
It's
ending.
all right. There's a lot. Get okay. There's a couple decent Latin songs in here and stuff that I know obviously have had a lot of hits there, and this get like decent production, and it's nothing wild, but it's one of those, you basically make a formula, you do your Mark Zuckerberg algorithm to make money, and that's basically what they did on this, more or less. It's like, do this thing because it'll be a hit, do this thing because it'll be a hit. It's nothing wild or really pushing anything further, so, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Arbitrary scale.
Yes, arbitrary scale this week. Every week, of course, we do an arbitrary scale because actual scales that reviewers do are arbitrary. They lie to you by telling you that there is an actual scale that's consistent. We just are obvious. This week, it is televangelist scandals, and I'm going to give this one the Joel Osteen.
Okay. The Houston thing, or with this is
the Hurricane Katrina.
I figured.
Where even though he had the huge 600,000 square foot stadium, he was very hesitant to allow people as refugees to be in his megachurch, as Jesus would have done.
This is Jim Baker. So he was sentenced to 5 years in prison in 1989 on 24 counts of fraud and conspiracy after misappropriating funds from followers of his own use. And I know he did some stuff with different administrations and stuff. So
he went all Arrested Development, got into real estate.
Yep. Rip.